Are we?
Let's do it to it.
All right, everybody. Good afternoon. It is what is it? It's a little bit after 12 o'clock, November 12th, 2025. My name is Douglas A. Welton, and I'd like to welcome you all to the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Planning Commission's work session for November. Glad to have you all here. The Planning Commission work session is being held at the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Government Center at 600 East 4th Street. Today, we're in room 280, and we all get to be close to one another, and that's a loving bonding kind of a thing that I like to have for us to do. For viewing by the public and the media, today's meeting is being streamed live on the Planning, Design, and Development Department's YouTube page. And we will begin our meeting, as we always do, with introductions of the members of the commission. We will begin all the way to my left with Commissioner Caprioli.
Michael Caprioli, Planning Commission.
Erin Shaw, Planning Commission.
Teresa McDonald, Planning Commission.
Shauna Neely, Planning Commission.
Rebecca Wilden, Planning Commission.
Carol Millen, Planning Commission.
Will Russell, Planning Commission.
Melissa Gaston, Planning Commission.
Andrew Blumenthal, Planning Commission.
Robin Stewart, Planning Commission.
Terry Lansdale, Planning Commission.
Rick Winiker, Planning Commission.
Clayton Seeley, Planning Commission.
I think that this is the first time we've had all 14 of us here in a couple of months, and it's exciting beyond all compare. Maybe it'll snow. I don't know. I make these things up. I don't know what will happen, but it could happen. I mean, it's November. I mean, this is as close to the Arctic Circle as I'm going to live, and we might as well take advantage of it. Let's introduce the staff members, and we'll begin all the way to my right with Ms. Rory.
Candace Rory, Planning Staff.
Monica Holmes, Interim Planning Director.
Al Knight, Planning Staff.
We got a couple of other staff in the back. Can you guys hand mic back to Nan, Kathy, and Catherine?
Catherine Mahoney, Planning.
Kathy Cornett, Planning Staff.
Nan Peterson, Planning.
And who we got on this side? Can we get Dave and
Dave Pettin and Planning is over there.
Yeah.
Charlotte Kuskavir, Planning Staff.
Andrew, also Planning Staff.
Faith Zisk, Planning Staff.
Jessica McNeil, Housing Services Staff.
Yep. All right. It's not like we're not introducing you all, but you all are guests and you will get your own exciting introductions later. Now we're on to the fun part where we talk about the disposition of our minutes from the, the October 14th work session. Do I hear a motion for the disposition of our minutes from the October 14th work session?
Motion to approve, Wilden. Second, Gaston.
Jeez, I love it when they fight over a second. I'm going to give Wilden the motion, and I'm going to give Gaston the second, and you can fight with Clayton later if you guys want to do that. All those in favor of this motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That motion passes unanimously. On to our new business. We've got a fun-packed program here today. We've got special guests from Park and Rec who are going to give us kind of an update on what's been going on. It's been a couple of years since they've hung out. We're also going to hear about the accessory dwelling units program that's going on. We've got a discussion, a little bit of a discussion from the strategic overview or the strategic plan overview that we heard about last time that Candace is going to be leading for the department. We're also going to get an update from Monica about just how things are swinging in the department and just how much fun it is to stand up in front of city council for 2 hours. It's one of those things that everybody should have the opportunity of doing. Yeah, I mean, she gets a round of applause. And one more thing, Monica's birthday was Monday. So, all right, we're going to sing. Everybody, do you know the words? Okay. Yeah, yeah. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Monica. Happy birthday to you. Isn't that beautiful, everybody? And yeah, and And
Many
don't tell
thanks.
anyone she's finally 21, though. So that means she can go out and drink. Yes, that's right. She had children when she was a child, but that's okay. We're just gonna go with it. We will get started. Candace here. Take us away to some normalcy and please talk about the strategic plan overview. Thank you.
Okay. This feels very weird addressing you guys from the podium, but I'm gonna,
Did you say you were dressing us?
no.
Addressing. Oh, I'm sorry. Confused for a minute there.
No. I am excited to tell you about the launch of the department's strategic planning process. We have not had a comprehensive view of the planning department's business since 2017. So this is overdue and something I've been pitching for a while. So I'm glad to say that we have started the process and are underway right now. So I'm leading the project along with support from executive leadership, Director Monica Holmes. And I'm working in partnership with Fountain Works consultant, Drew Finley from that group. I also have key stakeholder groups that will help provide content, give feedback, input along the entire way of the project. We have a 4-person project steering committee that meet with me and the consultant every other week and give feedback on the project timeline, content, just the process overall. They're very helpful, providing, insight from, different levels of staff throughout the department. We also have the executive leadership team, which is all the division managers in the department. We have the leadership advisory team, which is all the program managers in the department. And I've also listed the department staff, like the entire department, because we plan to engage them along the entire process and get their feedback as much as possible so that they will have a stake in this plan, because this essentially is their plan. It's supposed to be an internal document for staff to guide their work and help see how they're tied to the department as a whole. But we also want this to be a communication tool externally for others to read about our department and all things about us and how we operate. So we are doing this plan now because we want it to help us clearly explain who we are, what we value, and our future goals over the next over a 5-year period. We have successfully adopted several major initiatives over the last few years, and hopefully soon to adopt some more major initiatives over the next few months. And we need this plan to help guide us and articulate our vision and mission and values, describing what we aim to accomplish, why we do what we do, and even like our core beliefs and that guide our work. So it's going to outline our focus areas, our priorities, our objectives, as well as have performance and success metrics that organize our work and ensure that we stay on track throughout those 5 years. The final plan document itself will be a unified roadmap to guide decision-making, align programs and policies, and strengthen coordination and implementation across all 7 of our divisions. Uh-oh, wrong way. So, like I said, the plan is underway right now. We held a kickoff meeting with the entire department at our department staff meeting on October 9th, as well as a kickoff with the executive leadership team to kind of get their feedbacks before we get started. The final plan document and the implementation framework that I mentioned with the performance metrics is expected to be completed in May of 2026. I'm very excited about launching this. Like I said, I've been pitching it for a while, and this strategic planning process will provide an opportunity to strengthen how the department operates internally, but also communicate our purpose and direction to the community and our partners. And so we plan to kind of keep you guys updated along the way. That's all I have.
Thank you very much, Candace. Anybody got any questions? I've got Commissioner Shaw, then Commissioner Stewart, then Commissioner Russell.
Thank you for sharing and for the slides. I was just curious, I'm assuming like part one was developing the mission. What is the mission, or is that something that you're still working through?
So we currently have a mission and vision right now. Part one for us is going to be our needs assessment and a SWOT analysis. And so we're going to basically what I've been calling kind of the kitchen sink phase, is where we're going to hear all about what is it that we really need, what we do well, what we don't. And we're going to take all those things and kind of synthesize it to develop our vision and mission. So that'll be our next step. Mhm.
Commissioner Stewart.
Thank you for the presentation. And maybe you're not there yet, but with the transportation bill, is that going to get integrated into the strategic planning of the planning department? How are you thinking about that?
Yes, there will be work that comes out of the department because of that. If you want to speak to that again.
Yeah, so we're in ramp up for the transportation bill. We actually in senior leadership, we're talking about it this morning. It's all hands for a lot of different departments, economic development, housing, us, general services, CATS and their breakoff. So this is a great time for us to be doing this work because this next year will be really ramp up around all of the mobility work now that we know it's certain. And then it can fold into this, if that makes sense, because the timing will align, like as we're figuring out what ramp up is, it'll fold into the needs assessment and help us project like what is our work plan over the next 5 years to work together with all the mobility things happening. Like what is planning leading in that? What are we participating in it? How are we kind of working together? So whether that's in doing like transit station plans or community engagement around capital projects, anyways, all that'll go into the needs assessment. And we're also doing a survey of all the deputy directors and the directors of the city, so department directors, as to what they perceive like planning as part of the needs assessment, what they perceive planning should be doing. So it'll pull at some of that mobility work too. So this morning I actually presented it to all the other directors and said, we really need your help too, to figure out where we should be plugging in and where that crossover is.
That survey will go out next week.
Good. Commissioner Russell.
Candace, thank you for your presentation. Two questions. First question, you mentioned something about having metrics as you go along when you get to the end. Is that metric intended to be internally focused, or will it be externally focused? And what I mean by that internally, is that metric for the staff to gauge their progress, or is this for the public to understand what staff does?
It's for staff to gauge their progress. And
Okay.
so the intent of this document is meant to be internal. So it's to help us guide our work, ensure we're on track with what we want to do, but to also communicate that to the community and others so that they understand what we're doing and if we are on track. So it'll help us track, but then everyone else will see how we're doing.
Okay, and that was going to be my second question. Like, what does that public facing piece looks like? What does that look like once you're done and implemented the plan?
It will state, I guess, we get a lot of questions on like, what does planning do? How is our department structured? Do we, collaborate together? How does our work fold up into like our overarching goals? And so the plan will outline all of that, as well as the actual initiatives and goals and focus areas that we do and how it ties together, as well as how we're tracking those initiatives. Mm-hmm.
Anybody else got a question that they want to throw out? If not, thank you very much, Candace. It's not her birthday, but we can applaud for her as well. When is your birthday? April? So yeah, I'll be putting that in my calendar. Mean it. Okay, thank you. As we roll on along now, one of our good friends here at the commission has been the folks at Park and Rec. And we've got a presentation. Bert, are you going to kick it? Bert Lynn is the Capital Planning Division Director. And Bert's been here a number of times. So I think it's been a couple of years since we've seen you to talk about planning. And I'll let you introduce everybody else as is necessary. But I'll turn it over to you, Bert.
Sounds great. Thank you so much. Good to see everybody here. Thank you for the invitation to come back and share with you some work that we've been up to and some stuff that we've got coming in the future. I'm joined today by Katie Lloyd, who's a senior planner in capital planning for Mecklenburg County Park and Recreation, and Katie Daughtry, who is a planner that some of you may have worked with in that realm, or when she was over at Asset and Facility Management from a property standpoint in the past. So what we wanted to do today is just give everybody an overview of some projects and some work that we've been working on and completed recently from our greenways, our parks and nature preserves, connections and access projects that we have, as well as some of our land acquisition work. And so as we go through, I can either do my presentation and we can do Q&A at the end, or if we want to stop after we get through, I can leave that up to you, Douglas, whatever you want to do there.
Room are vocal. So if you have a question and you feel like it's urgent, that's great. If you can hold it, hold it. So it's kind of a hybrid.
Yeah.
I straddled the fence on that.
Oh, that sounds great. So I wanted to start with some of our Greenway Trail projects and give you a snapshot of where we are. We have had more active Greenway projects than we've ever had before. So right now, we are at 83 built miles of trail kind of across the county. We've got 18.4 in construction right now. I think that's more than we've ever had in construction at any one time. So we've had quite a bit of growth. An additional 7.1 miles funded, with 9 miles of future funded for in our capital improvement plan, which goes kind of 5 years out from today. In addition, another 2.7 miles of projects that are funded. Most of those, I think maybe all of those right now, are Cross Charlotte Trail projects that are funded by the city that are kind of connecting Little Sugar Creek Greenway to Toby Creek, little section along Toby, and then along Mallard, kind of reaching out toward the eastern edge of the county there, for a total of about 120 miles. That'll be what we're looking at with everything that we've got in play right now. As many in here, particularly planning staff, knows, we did our comprehensive park and recreation master plan around the same time that the new city's comprehensive plan was underway. So that was about 5 years ago. And from a Greenway snapshot, we had 30 priority projects that we identified in that, and are either active or have future funding allocated for a third of those projects kind of as we move forward. Some projects that we've completed over the last little while include extensions of existing greenways, like on Stewart Creek Greenway. This is at Savona Mill. We have gone across the creek at State. We connect over to Martin Luther King Jr. Park and into the Lakeview community now. So that added another mile and a half to that. And that gets you all the way into Uptown right now, which is a great connection. The Atrium project along Little Sugar Creek Greenway, if you haven't been down to see the new and improved section there. And that was all done on Atrium's dime. That was something that they included to try to offset some of the impacts of the expansion of their campus there. And Paul Creek Greenway, which is our first section along Paul Creek through Robert L. Smith Park, that provides neighbors adjacent to the park the ability to walk or bike to the park rather than have to get in their car and drive all the way around to get over there. Projects that we're looking to finish up soon, McAlpine Creek Greenway. It's an additional mile from Johnston Road. That's where the trailhead is, on Johnston Road right there, up to 51 Pineville Matthews Road. And that includes a new public parking lot on Highway 51 there. If you're ever down in that area, you probably saw within the last 6 months a big boardwalk and a bridge kind of under construction there. That gets you kind of to and from the Greenway. We were actually out there 2 weeks ago with our Greenway Advisory Council doing kind of a preview tour. So I think we've got maybe 2 or 3 weeks. We've got to pave a couple of little sections at the very end, and then that'll be coming online. My guess is in December. Irwin Creek Greenway through Nevin Park, Ribbon Walk Nature Preserve, and then providing a hawk signal crossing over Nevin Road to connect down to Allen Hills Park. This is going to be a great connection. It doesn't really connect to anything yet, but this is part of the seam. So that's a project that the county and the city are a part of that also include, I think, 9 other municipalities, kind of mostly north of Charlotte, all the way up to Statesville. And we'll be doing some additional connection projects to this that will connect up to Winding Springs Elementary, kind of on the northeast side of the park, and over to the middle school on the western edge of the park right there. So we'll be completing that project in the summer. I had to keep this in here for Rick Winokur. So the first phase of Briar Creek Greenway is under construction right now, and we broke this section from Monroe Road over to Central into 3 because we knew we had some crossings that were going to be difficult to get funded, specifically the crossing under Highway 74, because NCDOT has been talking for quite some time about doing some improvement and some widening of the roadway through there. I think within the last month and a half, we've gotten what we needed from them. So we'll be able to move forward there. I think we've got maybe 1 easement left, and we'll be able to go ahead and bid out phases 2 and 3 here. So my guess or my hope is within the next 18 months, all of this is done and the connections are ready to go. And I'll let Clayton take a picture of this before I go to the next slide.
Got a simple question though. Will there
Absolutely.
be pictures of Rick on the Greenway? As wayfinding,
Yes.
perhaps,
Yeah.
how many miles, till you get to Rick? If you can do that for us, then you walk on water.
Well, I mean, we haven't developed the wayfinding package for it yet, so we can add that to it.
You always get in early. You get
Yeah.
what you want. That's
Yeah.
all I'm
I
saying.
think we can do that.
Okay.
So that's all that we had kind of from a Greenway perspective. Very, very quick snapshot there. So we'll roll into some park and nature preserve projects that we've got going on. We've got a total of 52 projects active right now. That includes quite a bit of amenities. So we're doing something a little bit different. We're adding highly sought after amenities to existing parks. So they're smaller kind of spot projects here and there. So that's spray grounds, dog parks, skate parks, and pickleball. How can I forget pickleball? I might want to forget pickleball, but I can't forget pickleball. I'm reminded of it on a daily basis. We'll be adding 55 pickleball courts kind of in existing parks across the county right now. No, yeah. Yes. So most and those are going to be standalone courts. One thing that we've learned in the past 4 years, I'd say, is having tennis courts that have pickleball lines aren't great. We get a lot of competition between the tennis groups and the pickleball groups. And so we're expanding, we're doing pickleball specific courts, but we're doing them in the dimensions that if pickleball is a fad, they can be converted to full court basketball or futsal or tennis in the future. So we're thinking kind of short and long term about everything that we're doing there. In addition to that, we've got 12 connectivity projects across the county where we're making it easier for people to bike and walk to existing parks and greenway trails. So some of these were kind of crowdsourced over the years. We would have someone reach out and say, hey, I live on the west side of Kilbourne Park. How can you make it easy for me to get there without having to drive all the way around? And so that's one of the projects that we're working on. And it goes with some of the broader connectivity things that we've worked with city staff when kind of Cross Charlotte Trail 2 was envisioned, some of those connections. So that's actually a connection that could have a broader connectivity network involved in it. One thing we heard when we were doing our MEC playbook was we need to make sure that we're taking care of what we've got first. And so we've done a lot of work in reinvesting in our existing parks, specifically our smaller kind of local parks that are dotted kind of on the east, west, and north of Uptown. And so between our capital funding, ARPA dollars, and then just one-time dollars that we've gotten from the county, we have either completed or in process or have funded 30 of the 34 kind of tier 1 projects there. Some of those projects are here. So Devonshire Park on the east side, it was we've got some equity funding from our county commission along with some additional funding that we got from another source when we had to go in and replace the playground and just completely reimagine that park. Trine Hills Park, just north of Uptown here, as well as Independence Park, the first public park that we had here in Charlotte. Went in and did a major renovation of that facility. So all of those were renovation projects that we had. Trine Hills and Devonshire were ones that were envisioned and completed since MEC Playbook, so within the last 5 years. Some projects and a big plug. So tomorrow night at the Lab School, which is adjacent to Bryant Park, we're having our first major public engagement meeting. So we're going to be doing a renovation and expansion of Bryant Park. Historic Park, WPA project, the stonework there, very similar to the stonework that you've seen at Memorial Stadium, at an Independence Park. We also own the land on the other side of Stewart Creek there. And so part of what we're going to be doing is kind of making the connectivity that we need from a greenway standpoint within the park boundaries and connecting both sides of the park, but also activating both sides of the park there. So please come out. And if you can't get to that, I've got a resource at the end here that will allow you to get online and share some feedback there as well.
Bert, and where?
It is at the Lab School.
An hour from work. Charlotte Lab School, it's 2045 Central Avenue. So it's in between the park and Louisa.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so for anybody online, 5:30 to 7:30 at the Lab School. The address is 2045 Subtle Avenue. All right.
As if this was the first time.
And then another project that I would say was a pretty good coordination project between the city and the county is Eastland Park. We had our groundbreaking there a couple of weeks ago. Carolyn was there. So 4.5 acre park, kind of in the heart of the new Eastland Yards development. That's one that construction has started now. We're starting to go in and do some mass grading work and going underground to do some of our utility work, and then we'll start building up from that. But we look to probably early 2027 to go in and do that. We've taken some lessons that we've learned at Romare Bearden Park and First Ward Park and kind of applied those here. And so you see we've got like 2 lawn areas here. The one that's kind of on the far left of the screen is natural lawn. And it uses the topography of the site in a way that we have kind of a shade and stage structure so we can do events and gatherings out there. The other lawn area in the middle of the park is actually artificial turf. And so this was a lesson learned from Romare Bearden, where the price to rent out that lawn space and do something there is high because of the impact on the sod. And so we're like, okay, well, if we go in and we take that away, we can bring the cost to rent and have some kind of a use or an event here down and open that to larger groups. And so our hope is that when there's something going on the east side, festivals, farmers markets, anything like that, we'd love to be able to go in and house that here. And one of our big dreams is to potentially have a small little skating rink in the wintertime here, to kind of harken back to the days of Eastland Mall and the skating rink there. So we'll see how it goes. We were talking the other day, there are a lot of those pop-ups now, right? Yeah. But a lot of them, or some of them in after the holidays. And so if you can extend it into February, maybe there's a gap there that we can kind of take advantage of and give people another opportunity to come.
You realize how far we are from the Arctic Circle, don't you?
Yes.
Okay. February, it's like 70 degrees. I'm just saying.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And it snowed on Monday,
Yeah.
at my house at least. So.
Yeah.
At your house.
Yes. In South Charlotte. So.
Bert, real quick, I've got to give y'all a big plug, and excuse me, y'all know how proudful I am of East Charlotte. You guys, from day one, y'all were right in the community asking for our input. You worked with us. You heard everything we said. You continued working with us. We are so excited to finally be getting something in East Charlotte and especially in Eastland Yards. And when this is done, please, everybody come out. This is for all ages. I mean, there is nothing you won't find to be able to do and enjoy at this little Eastland Yards Park. So thank you guys so much.
Yeah, we packed a lot. Thank you. Thank you for that. We packed a lot of use within that 4.5 acres. So we're really excited about it as well. A couple of facility projects I wanted to highlight kind of as we move forward. We've got 9 total projects right now. I think a couple of these have actually already taken place. You know, we partner with CMS on some of their sites and expand what they typically do into like a full gym and some classroom space that we use kind of after school hours, on the weekends, and during the summer as recreation centers. During the school day, a lot of those gym spaces are used for PE classes and things of that nature. So a couple of those projects have come off the list. Some I did want to highlight. We've done a lot of renovations of recreation centers over the last 10 years or so. And what we found is some of these older centers are about 50 years old, and there's limited things that we can do to expand those and improve them without starting from scratch. And so we're going to have to start doing that now. And Tuckasegee Recreation Center is going to be the first place that we go in and do that. So we're going to do a whole new center. The existing center is like 13 or 14,000 square feet. We're envisioning something between 35 and 40,000 square feet. So it's going to be triple what we have right now. A major expansion of the recreation center and then an improvement of the park as well. It sits within a 14-acre park. There's been some people who said, oh, this should be a regional center. Site's just not big enough for that. We would have very little, if any, activity on the site if we did that. And so we're trying to be sensitive to the site and to the neighborhood and keep the price point as low as possible to be able to offer as many programs to as many folks as possible here. I do want to add, we are going to be doing outdoor aquatics here. We are going to be doing an outdoor pool here. And we're going to be doing the same thing at Albemarle Road Recreation Center. This is so Tuckasegee is one we've just started up. I would say engagement for that is going to be in early 2026. Albemarle is our FY27 project, so we won't be starting anything on this until like summer or fall of next year. Again, 13 or 14,000 square foot facility now. We're looking at something closer to 30,000 square feet here, just so we have all the back of house stuff that we need. You know, IT closets weren't a thing 50 years ago. But to also expand the number of programmable space that we have and programmable rooms that we have within the site. I will also add here, and you guys may or may not have seen, just south of where the recreation center is now, there's 3 parcels of land. If you've been by there recently, you'd notice those houses are being removed right now. We purchased that land. And so when we come in and we rebuild the center, it's going to have more of a street presence, not only on Idlewild Road North, but also on W.T. Harris. You can go by the site now and not know that the recreation center exists now. And so we want to go in and site this in such a way that it serves kind of as its own signpost as people walk by and drive by and everything. And just across the road, Albemarle Road Park, we are wrapping up improvements to that. So it's been expanded and I think December 4th, we're having kind of our formal opening of that. So trying to show some love to some of our existing facilities over on the east side, but also add some new facilities over there as well. One thing, so we talk a lot about what McPlaybook did well. One thing McPlaybook didn't do a great job of is looking in the future from a recreation center standpoint. And so over the last 8 months or so, we've conducted and completed a study for growth of our recreation centers. If you look at how they are distributed right now, there's a really core heavy focus like right around kind of uptown, just outside of uptown. But in our areas of growth, we don't have nearby access to those recreation centers. So we've got a plan to expand up to 5 to 6 new recreation centers and an additional 2 regional recreation centers in areas of the county that don't have nearby access now. And we plan to roll all of this vision out in an update that we're going to be working on. I'll talk about here in a few minutes to McPlaybook. Land acquisition. I think this group, we've been in constant communication from a land acquisition standpoint with this group. When we did McPlaybook, we wanted to at first really fill gaps in access. If you look at the Trust for Public Land score, we always score low, and it's because of the size of the county and the fact that we just don't have that many parks within a 10-minute walk of people's homes. I think it's like 38% when you go kind of countywide. And so the 17 gap areas that are kind of the dashed areas around here are areas that have been focusing on for the last 5 years and going in and adding land, as well as adding land for connectivity through our Greenway Trail program, and then continuing to preserve and protect our natural resources. And so over that 5-year period, we have taken down over 2,000 acres of new parkland. You can see kind of how it's been distributed around the county. Some of these areas, some of these gap areas, we've kind of closed, and we're not really looking actively in those areas. There are other areas that we're kind of focusing in on now. And then there's areas outside. We can't just limit what we're doing, what we're acquiring to those areas, because the Greenway trails aren't necessarily in those areas, and natural resources are where they are. They're not where you want them to be necessarily. And then to add to this number, I think I looked this morning, we've already acquired 124 acres since July 1 in this fiscal year. And then we can continue to work with city staff. When rezonings come through and subdivision reviews come through, we continue to ask for land for our future Greenway trails. I almost added the graphic up here. I've got a graphic that I did of Long Creek Greenway up near North Lake Mall in that area. The project that we finished there 2 or 3 years ago, we started acquiring land for in 1988. So it took us 35 years to slowly acquire that land. And so that's why we do what we do kind of through that development process, because it's a little bit of a long game, specifically when it comes to our Greenway trails. We've also had some success in requesting land set aside for larger developments for park uses. I don't know what the actual acreage amount is, but over the last 4 years, we've been able to get an acre here, 2 acres there, a large tract of land out near the river that we got on a development there. And it also provides, I would say, the developers a way to better interact with the neighbors that are going to be impacted around their projects, to say, okay, well, we hear what you're saying. We can set aside some land, and this will be a public park that will help the people who live in these areas now and the people who will be moving into these areas. Beyond that, we also look to make connections more easy or more accessible between kind of existing facilities and where some of these new places kind of come through. So I mentioned MEC Playbook is 5 years old now. It was founded kind of on the 4 principles of commit to equity, evolve and grow, tell more stories, and move beyond boundaries. So it's a 10-year plan, but we always like to come in and do kind of a 5-year check-in. And we're starting that process right now, where we go in and kind of reflect on the progress that we've made and the things that we haven't done to really focus in on over the next 5 years. Engage residents and make sure the things that we're providing and planning for are the things that are meeting their needs. And then realign some of our recommendations and kind of update. So you'll start to see some information shared about this over the next couple of weeks. And then the engagement for this will start up in earnest in January and February of 2026. So if you have any questions about any of the stuff that we just looked at or any other active project that we have, you can go to publicinput.com/MECParkRec. And you can search, or there's actually a map tab on there as well. Waiting for another Clayton photo. There we go. Okay, we're good. That just kind of shows you all of our active projects. You just go and click on that little dot, and it gets you to the information you need, the project contact you have, all of that good stuff. So that's all I've got. I'm happy to answer any questions that you guys might have.
Thanks, Bert. It's always really impressive when you guys come in here and you say, we've got X number of miles of greenway, and it's always more. Or the one that blew me away today was the land acquisition numbers. Because I guess everybody's been on planning commission, and we are planning committee, and we get these mandatory referrals, and it's 20 acres here, 20 acres there, whatever. And you don't think about how much it adds up to over the course of a year, but obviously money well spent. Anybody got any questions they want to throw? I've got Caprioli up. I'm gonna go this way. It's not gonna love you. I'm gonna do Clayton, and I'm gonna do Winokur, Russell, and then you, Caprioli, because I'm just gonna make you last because I'm evil and mean. That's whatever. Okay, all right. No, I'm sorry. This guy's gonna be last, so yeah, that. All right, go ahead, Clayton.
So I wanted to see if there'd been any progress on acquiring the train yard. I'm just kidding. No one actually thinks that's going to happen. No. Are there any updates on trail access to the Eastland Rec Center from Old Concord? I know you and I had talked about that briefly. Have you guys made any progress there?
Yeah, so there is a bridge connection under construction right now.
Okay.
Between Eastway Park and Regional Recreation Center and the Scarborough Center, which is the community resource center on the other side of the track there.
Okay.
So that'll be from a short-term standpoint, the best way to get that connection over to the light rail line.
Okay.
When we went in and did the planning and the work for the Regional Recreation Center there was also a need for a future road connection that goes through the park. And so we've got that right of way kind of set aside. So when that connection project goes through, I think it'll connect both to the east side of the park and kind of to the north more directly to the light rail stop.
Okay. And then should I be asking you any Cross Charlotte Trail questions as well? Because I'm curious about the connection point in my neighborhood. I know that there's been some decisions made, but I haven't been able to find out those decisions.
I may know the answer to it, or Katie Lloyd may know the answer to it as well.
We'll talk later. That's fine. I can always text you.
We're so plugged in.
Also, this is my guy right here.
Oh,
And she's awesome as well.
yeah.
So,
Commissioner Winokur.
I just want to briefly say how grateful I am that we have such smart, responsible, dedicated employees in the Park and Rec Department, that it's something we cannot take for granted at all in this community. This work, that a lot of people talk about Charlotte as kind of an unwritten page, but to the extent that Charlotte continues to exist in Mecklenburg County, 100, 200, 300 years from now, the work that's happening right now, like right now, will literally pave the way to the future of what green space our children's children, and other visitors to our community will have available to us. I think that it is such well-spent money, and so an important leg of a stool of a world-class community to be able to have an active, robust park system. It is my wish and my hope that other departments, especially the Charlotte Department of Transportation, could do so much more to help supplement the work in allowing citizens to have access to the areas that are being planned and built now. You try to pull out of the Eastway Regional Rec Center, you take your life into your hands. Why CDOT can't put up a light there, I don't know. That's not Bert's problem. That's not Katie's problem. That's not the county's problem. That's the city's problem. And I think the city really needs to step up, and we need more accountability from the Charlotte Department of Transportation for that. But I don't want to take away, though, these guys have really taken a mandate, starting with leadership with Mark Jarrell and the county commission, to really make smart, good investments that benefit everyone in this county for generations to come. And I just want to thank you very much for all your hard work.
Yes, and I will share that a light is in design right now. At that, CDOT is leading that effort. Yes. Actually, yeah, I think locally, when the center was built, CDOT and Park and Rec supported that. I think we were getting pushback at the state level there because that's a state road. And there was and it was a little bit of a silly issue. It was like a stacking issue. And so, unfortunately, we had to prove the point that it was needed to get the thumbs up, but it's underway right now. I don't know the timeline on it. But it's in design right now. Yeah. Yeah.
It's just going to cost $500,000. Commissioner Russell.
Bert, thank you so much. Great presentation. I really like to see how aggressive that the Parks and Rec Department has been on land acquisition and construction. Is very heartening to see that, considering that several years ago that we were considered a park poor city.
Yeah.
And I think you've made some great strides in changing that narrative. I do have a question for you. I know I like what I see about the facilities and doing some of the bigger parks and greenways, but I also have a question about going the other way and as far as scale is concerned.
Mhm.
So looking at Dowd Park, which is at the corner of Remount Road and Greenland Avenue, which is literally a park about the size of two house pads.
Yep.
And it's a beautiful park. Is there any consideration on kind of doing that model throughout some of the suburban parts of the city where you do have those gaps and the acquisition cost of land is high?
Yes. Yeah. And the answer is yes. So it's, I think, 0.75 acres. And so that was the project that led us to think through, okay, what's the minimum park size that we're okay with? And we're saying right around an acre, because in that park, we've got a playground, we've got a lawn area, we've got a park shelter and fitness equipment. And so we were able to do that kind of all in a very small contained footprint in an area that didn't have a park within a 10-minute walk. And so I think our struggle is going to be, we've been acquiring a lot of land, and some of them are bigger parcels and some are smaller ones, just like that local park. It's going to be how we go in and prioritize and then activate those sites in a timely manner. The last thing I want to do is have to wait 20 years before anything is built on any of these projects. But at the same time, we've got a lot of needs on our existing kind of infrastructure or our existing facilities. And so that's something that we're having to weigh and try to strategize and figure out how we can go in and activate those sites sooner rather than later.
Thank you.
Yep.
Commissioner Caprioli.
Yeah, I was very happy to see all the connectivity with all the paths. I used to live in a city where Parks and Rec, the city and developers got together to make paths. I could go anywhere in the city without ever having to cross a road. So that's absolutely wonderful. One of the reasons why we moved here to Charlotte. You talked about pickleball courts. Are you adding any outdoor basketball courts?
Yes, we are. It's not one that, because we actually have a lot of outdoor basketball courts kind of across the system. But when we're going in, where's that?
The southwest area over by McDowell Park.
Outdoor basketball?
Yeah.
I'll have to go and check and see.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd have to go and look and see. But as we're coming in and doing new projects, Shuffletown Park is kind of one that I know of right now, where we're going in, adding a skate park, replacing the playground, adding a spray ground, and adding a full court basketball court out there. So it's something that we've included within the programs of some of our larger parks, but it's not a specific amenity that we're going in and targeting kind of across. Yeah.
Lots of beautiful, beautiful, beautiful land, and beautiful, beautiful parks in the southwest area. So buy all that land.
Yeah. Actually, we just closed on 31 acres on Brown Greer Road within the last couple of weeks. You know where the complex, the school complex is, just north of Brown Greer Road? On the other side of Brown Greer Road, there's this nice piece of farm property there. We just closed on that a couple of weeks ago. So that's one of our targeted areas. If you look at our gap area map, that we're looking to go in and acquire land because of the amount of growth that's occurred there over time.
Excellent.
Yep.
Commissioner Blumenthal.
Thanks, Bert. As always, obviously one of the things we always talk about is kind of the competition with private development, right?
Sure.
And similar but different to Commissioner Russell's question in terms of kind of park size. But I'm curious, are there any parks or acquisitions or partnerships in the works kind of in the urban core, right? More for pocket parks, things like that. Again, something that doesn't necessarily need to be programmed to the extent of some of these larger ones, but just to create some dedicated open space on a quarter acre, half an acre, something that's further in, knowing that that land is obviously much more expensive. So maybe it's a partnership, but just curious if there's any progress there.
Yeah, so I don't know of any active that we have like within the Beltway right now. But I know that there are several just outside of that.
Yeah, even
we're
south end or
continuing to
north
look
end
at.
or something like that, right?
Yeah, I mean, with the explosion of density in South End, when you go back and look at the acquisition of Wilmore Centennial Park, which is just like 1.5 acres, but it's like right in the center. Like if there was some controversy surrounding that because of the cost per acre. And looking back on it, it may have been the best strategic acquisition that we've had in the last 15 years. Because we knew what was coming and knew that there just wasn't going to be an opportunity to go in there. We have had some conversations with developers who were looking to go in and do some redevelopment projects in those areas. They haven't come to any fruition. I don't know that those projects have moved forward either. So I wouldn't say that any of that is dead. But what I will say is our expanded involvement in the rezoning process has led to more opportunities to have those conversations early rather than having to come on the back end and try to say, oh, can we come in and be a partner once the cake is baked.
No, that makes sense. And I mean, whether it's, something like the Iron District or some of these other larger projects, hopefully there's some opportunity to work with them. And then the other question I had is, it seems like there are more and more updates recently with the River District, and curious what's taking shape between Park and Rec and the larger development out there.
Yeah, so there are requirements from the rezoning that require them to set aside 2 minimum 10-acre pieces of land for Park and Rec to acquire. It's not donated property. It's something that would have to be acquired. So we've been in contact with their staff for probably the last couple of years now. We've got one site kind of identified and figured out. We're working on a second site now, and then continuing to try to identify a partnership with something that's kind of more adjacent to the river there as part of what they're doing.
Awesome. Well, again, thank you for everything. Please continue to use us as a resource, both this and outside of this room as well.
Will do.
Keep up the good work. Thanks,
Yeah.
Bert.
Thank you.
Commissioner Seeley again?
Can I get the slide with the acquisitions up real quick? I just want to take a picture of it, one. And two, because that's really impressive and y'all should get, recognition for that. But NCDOT,
Yes.
I-77.
Yes.
That's gonna decimate 2 parks.
Yes.
Potentially.
Potentially.
Potentially. I mean, Fraser is an important amenity. I mean, honestly, greenways are pretty much severed by this project as well. Are you guys part of that conversation?
Yeah, so we had our initial discussion with them. It was like 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
We'll have a number of members from my team at the meeting tonight and tomorrow night. And we requested some more detailed information. We hadn't gotten that yet. Our hope is that after this initial public comment period, we'll start to get that. But yeah, we let our feelings be known very clearly when we met with them a couple of weeks ago.
Same.
Yeah.
And then, if this were to move forward, I would just suggest talking, I know there's like 2 acres or something like that as part of the Iron District. Maybe there's some way to get that to 6 or something like that to make up for Fraser Park potentially being deleted from the face of the earth.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I mean, when the toll lanes were built to the north,
mhm.
there was additional funding that was set aside for other, I would say, corridor adjacent projects.
Mhm.
One of those projects was a Greenway specific tunnel under the interstate that was built during the construction process along Torrance Creek Trib 2.
Okay.
That connects Torrance Creek and McDowell Creek Greenways to the Cats Park and Ride Lot up in Huntersville. I don't know if there's going to be a similar pot of money for this or not. But it seems to me that it makes a whole lot of sense to utilize that to maybe offset impacts that are unavoidable or make connections that were severed when I-77 was built, specifically between Uptown and the West Side. And so I think there's a lot of potential there. But from what I've seen so far, it hasn't been discussed or shown on any of the maps that are available online.
Awesome. Well, thank you for that clarity and thank you for everything you do.
Yep.
We've got Shaw, Stewart, and then Lansdale.
Just echoing everything everyone else said. Bert, thank you so much. It's really impressive what y'all have managed to accomplish. It's been 18 months since I've been on the planning committee side, so it's exciting to see. One question that I don't think we've touched on, but I apologize if we have. When we do sit on the planning committee, we sort of see the tree safe requests come through as well as the Parks and Rec requests. And I just wondered about the collaboration and partnership there. I know there's, sort of the mission is slightly different, obviously, because they have to save the trees. I would assume that they're trying to save, but I would hope that there's some ability to work together on that in some capacity.
Yeah, I'd say we do work together and coordinate. I think it could be better. And so we're continuing to try to find ways to do that. And we work with that group for quite some time. If you look in what's allowed kind of within Tree Save now, trails are allowed in there. Some passive recreation uses are allowed within those spaces as well. And so if it's set aside for Tree Save and not Park and Rec or not like a greenway easement, it still doesn't preclude us from being able in the future to be able to go in and potentially develop those within partnership with city staff. Yeah.
I would just say too, when I was on planning committee, sitting on the development side and just seeing on our industrial projects when there's like large swaths of untouched trees, what we're usually dealing with is an unhoused issue of folks or, drugs or other non-legal uses of people spending time in the trees. And so I think it's great to hear that, if that space can be activated, but the trees continue to be saved, I think that's really cool if y'all can figure that out. I know there's a lot of probably red tape, but.
Yes. Yeah. But I mean, that's what we do on a daily basis. So thank you.
That's why they pay you the big bucks. Commissioner Stewart's hopped out of the queue, and that means it's Commissioner Lansdale's time.
I was going to let the experts take the lead, but you talked about funding. So I'm going to jump in on that one. Sure. So right now, what I like to see from Parks and Rec is a list of those opportunities to enhance crossings on state roads. 51, Tyvola Road, all those places have a safety concern where a person would have to walk over a half mile in one direction just across the street to an apartment complex or a retail environment without Parks and Recs defining a list of safety concerns. The reason why I say that on state roads right now, there's an open application for a state match for transportation safety plans, right? It's a limited window, but you got to have your list ready. You got to push our friends at CDOT to make that request for state roads.
Yeah.
The second thing I want to talk about, since you did bring up the 77 toll lanes, is that through 4 years of work in my professional career, we've opened up toll credits for North Carolina for our roads. So that is a federally allocated funding source. That is a spreadsheet source of dollars. New Jersey, for example, New Jersey does a great job in funding all active mobility projects through that toll credit. In North Carolina, under the way that NCDOT has set up policy, Mecklenburg County is excluded from seeking toll credits at this time. It's important that when you have the conversation with the state, that we talk about returning and restoring those punishments that we get for embracing privatization for our public roadways returns to the community impact and the solutions for that. So if you're not mentioning toll credits and you're not mentioning safety project inclusion in the short term, toll credits in the medium term, and direct funding in the long term, I think we're missing opportunities from the state to do their due diligence by constitutional reference to provide safe, adequate public transportation and protection of all forms of transportation in Mecklenburg County. So I didn't want to give that for my 1 or 2 minutes. Hopefully that did not land in left field for you. Hopefully, you know, as Penn and Teller would say, I've given you enough detail to understand where, you know.
No, I appreciate, I wasn't aware that the toll credits. I think the deal with toll lanes up north may be different than if they're built down south. I don't know. So but that's something else that we can ask for some clarification on from our side for sure.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Is everybody gone that wants to go? Then it's my turn. Bert, as I said before, thank you for the presentation. I have two points and they're odd. So just go with me on this. So Andrew mentioned the uptown area and parks. And when I park in the city county parking deck across here, if I walk to Trader Tryon area, I pass 3rd Street and there is a block there of it's empty, but there's a little bit of surface parking there, but it's a parcel that is mostly just inhabited by people who are lounging, I guess would be a good way to put that. And it's tree covered and it would be a great park right in the middle of the city. I think it's owned by Norfolk Southern. Have you guys ever tried to perhaps acquire that piece?
I'll have to go back and check.
I mean,
I haven't done one specifically in the last couple of years.
yeah, I mean, it's just laying there, but there are lots of tall buildings around it, and it's small though, and it would be a great place for people to go have lunch.
Is this the one that's like just adjacent to?
It's just adjacent to the railroad tracks and right across from the hotel, whatever that tall thing is, the Hilton. Yeah. All right, and then my second odd question is this: most of these park things you've talked about appear to be on the ground. And I am curious as to whether or not you guys have ever thought about putting a park on the top of a parking deck.
485.
Yeah.
A sports field on top.
Okay.
At
Yeah.
the light rail.
Yeah. I mean, there are lots of empty, I forgot about that now. Yeah, it's right across from the Target. But there are lots of empty parking decks downtown now. And I'm just curious as to, you know, if it's something you guys ever consider.
The short answer is yes.
Okay.
I think the hard part there would be whether or not you could do what you needed to do from a structural standpoint. If it wasn't envisioned and designed to have that load that high up in the structure. And so, yes, it's something that we've talked about. We've toured, Clyde Warren Park in Dallas, a cat park, over something very similar to 277 here, and talked with the staff there about how that's run and operated and everything. In San Francisco is at TIAA Cref it's a private park, but it's open to the public during the hours. That is the 5th level on over top of 4 levels of parking and city bus terminal. So we've gone and studied and drooled at very similar examples and would love the opportunity.
Somebody was talking about pickleball before, not to say I want to do anything with the pickleball players, but there could be a lot of
pickleball players are people too, Douglas.
Jury's out on that one. All right, everybody. Bert deserves a round of applause.
All right. Thank you.
And we can keep going and we can talk about the Queen City Accessory Dwelling Units Program. And Jessica and Faith, I think, who's leading? Jessica's leading? Okay.
Oh, down. Okay. Hello.
Hello.
I am Jessica McNeil, a housing project manager with HNS's Housing Services Division. I know we just mentioned Faith, but she actually will not be coming up here to present, but she is here in the background if we have any additional questions regarding things that I cannot answer. I also have Charlotte with planning staff here as well. She stepped out, but she will be coming back in to present some information on some design plans that we have for the program. Okay. So the Queen City ADU program provides up to $80,000 in forgivable interest-free financing to build or convert a detached ADU. Emphasis on detached. When we first started the program, we wanted to include attached ADUs, but we realized that that might not have been in our wheelhouse to understand and explain, and we wanted to get some confirmation on how to go about attached ADUs, as the city doesn't define them in the standard way. So we took that out of the program and only kept attached ADUs. So disregard some of my imaging up there. I just wanted to fill up some white space. But in turn, the $80,000, well, up to $80,000 loan, like I said, will be to build detached ADUs. They can either convert a garage that they already have, for instance, convert a space that they already have, or it can be a new build that is detached as well. In turn, homeowners will have to rent out the ADU to income eligible tenants at or below 80% AMI at an affordable rate. Right now, that affordable rate is around $1,100. It is the fair market rent for, I believe, up to 70% AMI for studio. And something in that range, but right now it's 1,100 and it could change. The ultimate goal of the program was to expand affordable rental options within existing neighborhoods, support intergenerational living, and then empower homeowners through equity and rental income opportunities. It's also just to emphasize the fact that ADUs are not just something to put in your backyard. We want to encourage people to build them for long-term affordability and wealth generating opportunities for them as well. So to be eligible for the program, there's really not that many standards in order to be eligible. You just have to be a City of Charlotte resident. You could be owner occupied or non-occupied. And again, you just have to live within the City of Charlotte limits. So we are not doing Mecklenburg County, just simply City of Charlotte. And they do have to show proof of being able to match the loan that we're giving to them. So like I said, that we can provide up to $80,000 in a forgivable loan. So say, for instance, a person's project is $180,000. We can only do the max of $80,000, and then they'd have to do the rest. Or if their project is $100,000, for instance, we could only max them at $50,000, and then they'd have to provide that 50% match requirement. And that can be through a construction loan, cash, grant, what have you. But they just have to show proof that they're able to obtain that 50% match requirement. The use of funds can be used towards pre-construction, such as permitting fees, design plans, and also anything regarding the construction. But it has to go specifically to the ADU. So for instance, I have had a few questions regarding the primary residence on whether or not they can renovate part of their house. And I'm like, no, it's an ADU program. It's not for your home. But thanks for trying. The forgiveness terms are, I'm trying to say this in an easy way. So each loan is forgiven at a rate of $10,000 per year. So and each year equals an affordability term. So say, for instance, like I said, if they get up to $80,000, that means the loan is at that point $80,000 divided by 10, that's 10,000 is 8 years. Okay. So that means they have a required 8-year affordability term. So that's when they have to rent out the ADU to an eligible tenant for at least 8 years. And then the loan can be forgiven, for instance. So, and that's in structures of $10,000, like I mentioned. So for every $10,000. So if they borrow $20,000, that's 2 years of affordability, $30,000, 3 years of affordability, and so on. If they rent the unit out to someone who has a housing choice voucher or someone else who is referred through a supporting housing agency, then we'll give an additional $5,000 in affordability incentive. So the $10,000 forgivable rate will go up to $15,000 if they are able to rent it out to, again, someone who is receiving a voucher or referred through a supporting housing agency. If they do not have property management experience, then they do have to utilize a property manager for the first 18 months. That is just to ensure that they are able to remain compliant with the program, understand fair housing laws, landlord tenant laws, and understand the complexities of renting out to at an affordable rate, and again, following the city compliance rules. And then we do also have a landlord tenant and fair housing law training. So that is actually in partnership with our community relations team. It will be virtual. I believe they will have options to make it in person if that is preferable, but it should only be a couple of hours, again, just to ensure that the homeowners are aware of landlord tenant laws and fair housing laws as well. So prior to the launch of the program, actually, we created this My ADU eligibility tool. This has actually been talked about for quite some time. For reference, I started with the city in November of last year, so I'm at my year actually this week or last week. And so I believe the My ADU eligibility tool had been talked about before because we were in the works of creating an ADU pilot. We were trying to work on some things on if we could build ADUs on city-owned land. We were looking at different avenues, for instance. So in that conversation, the My ADU eligibility tool was created. So you can go on here, and I didn't include the link. I can share it, but you can go on here and type in your address, and it will ask you a series of questions such as whether or not you own it, if you know of any restrictions on the home, if you have an HOA, for instance. It's very basic, user-friendly questions, but at the end, it will determine whether or not your home is, if an ADU is feasible to be built on your lot. And it's not, I will say it's not 100% accurate. Say, for instance, if someone were to put that they're not sure if they have an easement on their lot, it might say at the end that their feasibility is not likely. If they put yes to having an HOA, it may say that feasibility is not likely as well. But that is where Faith and Andrew come in. We have our ADU support team where they can actually reach out to them via email or set up a call with them to discuss why it is that the feasibility is not likely for their property. If the feasibility is likely for their property and they are wanting to join the Queen City ADU program, that is enough for me to at least kind of move forward with their application. If it says feasibility not likely and they've applied for the program, for instance, I'll let them know that they need to connect with the My ADU support team, unless they already have a permit. Let me actually say that. If they already have a permit and it says not likely, then I already know it's likely, right? But if they fill this out and it says not likely, then I'll pause their application and say you need to get connected with the ADU support team and determine why it's saying not likely, because ultimately we do not want to fund a project if we're not even 100% sure if an ADU can even be built on their lot. This was not necessarily required prior to application. Again, this was actually up prior to us opening the program. So it's been available for a while. So you can determine whether or not an ADU is feasible on your property with or without the program. But it's been encouraged along the application process. So I believe in the application, I had a stop point that said, hey, wait, have you checked to see if your property is feasible? And if they didn't do it or didn't send me the report after I follow up, when I initially follow up with them to let them know what's still needed for the program, I'll say, hey, can you fill this out before we do anything else? And then they'll generate the report. And to the side is an example of it saying that your address is likely, and it will just give you some basic information about it. This is actually a full page report, so it will show them. It will honestly kind of look like the property report that you get if you go on Polaris. That's an easy way to say it. Like it will just look like a shorter version of a Polaris report of their property. So for the ADU program, I just wanted to give a little general overview of what takes place. So before we actually released the program, we did put up an interest form. ADUs have been talked about for quite some time before the program even launched. So we went ahead and created an interest form and put it on the site. So that way people would be informed whenever the program officially launches. And when I say site, we did actually create an accessory dwelling unit site. If you, again, I didn't include the link, I do apologize, but honestly, if you go into Google, type City of Charlotte accessory dwelling units, the City of Charlotte site should pop up, or even if you type accessory dwelling units on the City of Charlotte's website, it will come up. But that site has general information on how to build an ADU, planning steps, for instance, permitting steps. It has my contact information, the ADU support team's information, and many different things if you're looking to build an ADU, as well as the application for the Queen City ADU program. So like I mentioned, to get started with the program, you would first fill out the interest form, not a requirement, but that was just an initial step when we hadn't released it. And then we created an application and released it via Civi Forms. The application opened on September 22nd and then closed on October 31st. So it just recently closed. After the applications have been submitted, then myself, I will review them. I do have some additional support, like I mentioned, from planning and some additional rehab and internal staff. But as of right now, just for the general step, I'm just reviewing the applications and seeing whether or not they're feasible, if they've submitted the proper documentation in order to move forward. And then step 4 is the conditional approval. This has been, I will say, one of the hiccups, not necessarily in a bad way, but just for clarity, definitely something to notate if we were to open the program up again. So a lot of people have assumed that once they apply for the program, they'll get told whether or not they're approved. But like I mentioned before, we're not necessarily approving anything unless we know that the project is feasible, for starters. So one of the requirements for the, one of the requirements for the program is that they submit proof of ownership, design plans, mortgage statement, just to show that they're current with mortgage statement, and property taxes, for instance, as well as estimates from a contractor if they have them, and a permit if they've already submitted that, for instance, and have already been approved for it. So essentially, if you have everything excluding that permit, then I can give you a conditional approval as long as money is still available. But we are not necessarily saying you're 100% approved until you get that permit. So we're giving a disclaimer that says, hey, you've met majority of the criteria. I can conditionally approve you at this point. However, funding is dependent on whether or not your permit actually goes through and is approved by the city and county. And then at that point, we can start signing some documents, for instance. So we just kind of put them at that pause phase and get them set up entirely. But again, funding is not dispersed until that permit has been approved. So once that permit has been approved, if they haven't had it already, then they have the go ahead and begin construction, and we can do disbursements. So we will be dispersing the money directly to the general contractors and builders, not directly to the homeowner themselves. They are, right now, the thought is that they will be required to put their 50% match up first to reduce liability on the city's part. And then once they've put in their match, then we'll contribute the rest and pay the contractor the rest on our part. And then we'll have some rehab inspectors go in there and inspect the home, make sure it's safe, make sure it's livable, and we'll do the final closeout and record some documents for them. So like I mentioned, the application period was from September 22nd to the 31st. By the end of October 31st, we had 294 applications. That is the number prior to, like, that is the number of applicants who applied prior to the deadline. We did have a few come in after the deadline. We are still getting calls and emails asking whether or not they can still apply even though they missed the deadline, or asking if there is a wait list. But that 294 reflects applications submitted prior to the deadline. Unfortunately, we don't have that much money. So, wait a minute. I'm new here. At this time, we are anticipating to select up to 20 projects right now. Just so we have a starting number. You know, this is a new program. We want to make sure we do it right. So we don't want to move forward with too many projects without seeing how this works first, right? And seeing whether or not we need to revamp anything. And once I start reaching out to people, I'll let them know that as well, that, you know, there might be an opportunity to move forward, even though you might not have made it within this round, and we'll keep your information, for instance. But right now, again, we are anticipating only to fund 20 projects, but that is with the idea that they all max out on the $80,000, right? So if there are a few that need less, we might be able to do a few more projects, for instance, within this first round. Within all these applications, there were about 12 applications that were specifically for attached ADUs. Luckily, I changed the verbiage probably within a day or two of the application being released to say detached only. So I didn't allow for too many to come through. I did reach out to those 12 applications to say, hey, we're only moving forward with detached at this time, unfortunately. And they were actually open to doing detached and wanting to know how whether or not they needed to reapply or what they could submit to do detached ADUs. We've had a few people also apply with duplexes on their lots. And while you are able to build an ADU on a lot with a duplex in Charlotte, again, that's not something we kind of wanted to get into the weeds of right now, being that this is a new program. So we did make it known that we weren't moving forward with duplexes, but I did have a few applications that came in for those as well. But unfortunately, they do not qualify for the program at the moment. And then in terms of what I've been seeing so far with the applications, I've seen a mix of garage conversions and new builds. I've seen as small as 400 square foot to as big as the max of 1,000 square foot for an ADU. I've seen 2 and 3 bedrooms. I've seen 1 bedroom studio kind of apartments. A few people have had like a double garage on the bottom and wanted to do like an apartment on the top, for instance. So it's been a wide range of designs that have been submitted. And as I've mentioned, I mean, there are 294 applications, so definitely a high interest in the program. We're also getting calls from like designers and builders wondering if whether or not they could partner with us and be put on a list of preferred builders and contractors, for instance. So we're getting a lot of feedback from everybody. So feedback that we weren't expecting. So again, now that I've been able to close the applications, once we kind of get through this first round, depending on whether or not this is something that we can do in the future again, we'll be able to refine this, kind of look at what the feedback was, maybe go back to accepting attached ADUs, for instance, if we get more clarity on that, what have you. We're still just kind of working on things. Again, this is a very new program. It was an idea that just came about this year and we kind of ran with it. So we're definitely open to the possibilities and opportunities. And again, construction hasn't begun yet. So I haven't actually, as of this date, sent out any formal approval letters yet. I'm working on that this week, actually. So construction hasn't begun yet, but we do have a few people in the pool who already have a permit, for instance. I've had quite a few people, for instance, who have reached out to say, hey, I got a permit for this maybe a year ago, but I've been trying to get funding. I didn't realize how expensive it was, for instance. And then this program came out right at the right time. So I have a few people who are ready to go yesterday. They just need the go from us, for instance. And this is where Charlotte comes up. So we do have some design plans that have gotten created, in design. So she's going to discuss that for you guys, and I'll be back.
Hi, everyone. My name is Charlotte Kuskavir, and I am with the Urban Design Center portion of the planning department. As a complementary effort to the ADU online web tool and the Queen City ADU program, the city has gone ahead and commissioned 4 ADU plan sets to be available for the community. So this is an opportunity to just remove one more barrier to increasing housing stock in our city. We are getting 4 done. Neighboring Concepts is our architect. These plans will be available to everyone. They're going to come as unstamped construction documents at about 80% design. So users are going to need to hire a professional to tailor them to the site. This is for things like, where does it fit in regard to your main structure, and how does the foundation work with the grading on site? So we can only take them so far with something that is off the shelf. But I still think it will be a great help, at least to get people to start talking, visualizing it, if nothing else. We might need to add a small user fee to these plans. We're still working that out. And the Queen City ADU program does not have to use these designs. But if Jessica gets someone who is a perfect candidate, but just doesn't know what exactly they want to build, she can send over this design set to them and see if it sparks anything. Same with Faith and Andrew as they get calls as our ADU support staff. It really helps giving people something to really grasp onto. So are these plans pre-approved? No, they are pre-reviewed. So we have made sure that there are no fatal flaws, but since so much is going to be site specific, we can't say that, these are completely approved out the gate, especially from the city's land development individual residential lot permit process. That is very much site specific there. But we are exploring right now getting these into the county's master plan program. So this is a program for the county's building permits, and it's utilized a lot by national home builders who are kind of putting out the same house on different lots across the city. So they can submit plans to get them approved by the county and not have a lot attached to them. So we think this might be an opportunity for these ADUs. We're just trying to make sure that the architect's comfortable with it and that we can get it to work within that county system that wasn't really designed for us, but I think could be a really great opportunity. I'm going to go through the plan sets that we have right now. We can send you guys out the PDF of them. We're still getting the construction documents tightened up, but these are some great visuals. I'm going to try to do it fast so we stay on time. This is our 1-bedroom passage. A great thing about this one is that the water is all on one wall. So the kitchen and the bathroom are backed up to each other, and that's really going to help with some of our construction costs here. And there's the opportunity to add dormers so that you have either storage or, a sleeping loft, some type of additional space, just utilizing that extra roof area. This is our 1-bedroom garage design. This allows someone to add a garage with some additional workspace or storage, but then have a 1-bedroom, 1-bathroom unit above it. This is designed at under 24 feet. But I just wanted to mention that height is going to be measured from the average grade when it's done. So that's important because, our setback requirements are really based on if you're under or over that 24-foot height right now. So there is an opportunity to get within 3 foot of the rear side setback with this one if the person you hire can figure out that grade. This is the 1-bedroom with a porch, and you can see it is a bigger 1-bedroom option than the first one, and it's got 2 different screening options. One's got a brick column and the other some wooden screening, just depending on what the relationship is to the primary building and the street. This is 2 different options here. This is our 2-bedroom with a porch. So this is our largest unit. It's got 2 bedrooms kind of jutting off of a main artery where you've got that shared space and shared bathroom and living room. Just 2 different style entrances so that it can match, 2 different types of primary structures or neighborhoods. I think if these end up being utilized a lot, we can start to look at how things might pick up different tweaks to match different types of character that we see in our neighborhood. And just a reminder, we don't regulate color at all. So these are just to show you guys, they could really be any color.
Well, that was it. Any questions for me or anyone that I have with me?
Commissioner Seeley's got his hand up. I'm surprised.
I am about to be under permitting for an ADU. Obviously, I did not make the, yeah, anyways, it's after October 31st. I have a question though, because, what I'm building is for future use of my parents. They will live there 3 months out of the year, because they live in Blowing Rock. It's too cold there. Eventually they'll live in there full time. The goal the other 9 months of the year is to target traveling nurses. It's also an ADA compliant use with an elevator. Should y'all ever open things up, would something like that even possibly qualify? I mean, it would not be 12 months out of the year that at first that it's being leased out. Like, how is that stuff actually kind of verified?
So we have an asset management team for one who will go in and check for compliance, for instance. I'm not sure how often that's still kind of being worked on as far as how often that they'll visit to check to ensure that someone is still in compliant. Like you mentioned though, for this first round at least, you do have to rent out at least to someone at or below 80% AMI. And that can be a family member, that can be a friend, that can be someone you know. It doesn't have to be something that you put on Zillow and then you find some random person, right? If you already know someone who is at or below that 80% AMI, whether it's your mother, grandmother, whoever, they have the opportunity to live there. However, it is not for a short-term rental at the moment. I don't know, and I don't know if that will change. The first year just has to be 12 months. After that, it doesn't have to be 12 months anymore. From my understanding, and again, I'm new here, from my understanding, that is something that's typically set on our housing programs, is that you have to rent it out, whatever it is in our other programs for at least the first lease term has to be 12 months, from my understanding, and that's why that was set. So I'm not necessarily sure if we have anything in the works of changing that. And I'm not too familiar with that at the moment, but that's just kind of what my understanding is.
Okay, that's it.
And in terms of determining the 8% AMI for your acceptance, what kind of documentation are you looking for? Like tax returns, or what, how do you make that determination internally?
So proof of income, whether that be pay stubs or if someone is getting Social Security, disability, the standard things that you see day to day, right? We're not trying to make it too hard, but pay stubs or unemployment, for instance. And then we have the standard AMI chart that's also used for House Charlotte, for instance, that we're using those limits to set that at.
Commissioner Millen and then Commissioner Shaw.
Couple of things, the money what funding bucket is this money coming from to offer to people?
I think part of it is ARPA. I know it's local funding, right? But that I'm not 100% sure. I feel like when we first talked about it, it was a little bit of ARPA funding. But again, we also have the pilot that we were working on initially. So I'm not sure if I'm getting that mixed up with that.
Could y'all come back and give us that information?
I can definitely do that for sure.
And to their point, you're saying the first year it has to be long-term on the first 12 months. And we're working ADUs to help diversify housing, to provide housing, and especially to those that are really in the most vulnerable need. After 12 months, and I'm seeing this in my neighborhood, somebody could turn the ADU into an Airbnb and be collecting $6,000 a month. And that defeats what we're trying to do. So I don't know if there's going to be parameters in the future to help put around that we really do preserve and save what we're trying to fight to do. If y'all understand what I'm saying.
So while we're not imposing a second lien on one's property, there will be deed restrictions and a promissory note that are recorded to ensure that affordability. So like I mentioned, if they do 50,000 with us, then they're required to rent it out at an affordable rate for at least 5 years. And if our team goes in at those whatever set compliance periods to check that they're no longer renting it out at an affordable rate. Like I mentioned, it can't even go up beyond $1,100, for instance, unless worked out with the city in writing. If they're doing short-term rentals, if they're doing any of those things that you honestly just mentioned, then at that point, they wouldn't be in compliance with the program, and then they would be required to pay back at that point.
Okay, thank you.
Aaron?
Thank you. It sounds like a really cool concept. I was just curious, just knowing from the developer side where construction costs are. It feels like you would have to be pretty comfortable to be able to afford, I mean, even with the subsidy, pretty comfortable to be able to afford to build this. And maybe that's part of the intent is it's people that have land and big houses and all those types of things. I was just curious if y'all have seen, and I know you're early in the program, ranges of numbers as to what approximately it's going to cost to build some of these.
So as I mentioned, there's so many different design concepts, right, that people have
Sure.
presented. So the price has a wide range so far. So, but I've seen, I think the lowest that I've seen so far was about $70,000 or $80,000. And, the ones in those ranges were like the prefab homes that you could get from Home Depot, for instance. Some people are getting those. They're wanting to do that, or like the prefab homes on Amazon, and get them shipped and then do the rest with it, for instance. So those have been a little bit more affordable. If they already have some sort of shed or garage, for instance, the conversion, that has been more affordable.
Right.
The new builds seem to be a little bit more, especially the new builds who are higher up in square footage. So for instance, I've seen someone who maxed out on that 1,000 square footage, and I think their project was like 250.
Yeah.
But that's on the higher end. I feel like the main range that I've kind of seen is about like 100 to like 160, like a little sweet spot. Now, obviously that number can change because, you know, the estimate that you received today,
Sure.
it might change depending on what happens throughout the construction process, but at
Sure.
least as a starting point, that seems to be what I'm seeing. And that includes permitting and like everything included
Right,
that the
right.
contractor
Right.
would be able to do for them.
Okay.
And when we started our design effort on the city available ADU plans, we were hoping to get them around $150 per square foot. We haven't had the ability to check that yet. So hopefully at least one.
Thank you.
I can give a little bit there too.
Bet you can.
I think our project is around 225 a square foot, not including the elevator.
Right, so you're gonna run into affordability issues off the gate because
Yeah.
at a 6% mortgage, you have to pay back, even if I took the full 80,
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to pay back. My mortgage is gonna be right at $1,100. So like, I don't make any money. I'm break even. So if I hit, essentially, if your ADU costs more than $200,000, you're out of the game.
And we have said that we've kind of,
She said 150.
this is an unspoken rule, but like I mentioned, we have said that although the max to rent out is 1,100, for instance, if, for instance, you have a project and it is that 1,000 square foot ADU and your costs were, you know, over $200,000, as long as it's still affordable for someone that is at or below that 80% AMI, we might be able to tweak that number, right? Especially because we are aware that this is also an investment for you as well. Well, not you, but you know, the public. So people are looking at those numbers, right? So if I'm renting out something only for $1,100 and it's in a 1,000 square foot 3-bedroom home, basically, I'm not really breaking even until I get out of that affordability period with the city, for instance. So that is up for discussion. I haven't necessarily approved anything yet to know if one of the homes that are going to be approved for this first round are even within that. But again, we've seen some that are 400, 500 square foot at $90,000, for instance. So it's been a wide range, and it hasn't even just been in one particular area. For instance, it's all over Charlotte. And then even outside of Charlotte, we've had to decline some of the applications because I'm getting Huntersville, Gastonia, all these things. And it's a city of Charlotte, guys, city of Charlotte. But but it's definitely a wide it's a wide pool that we're kind of going through right now.
Say change. I think that's gonna be important because if you don't have an understanding of what it costs to get these built, then you don't understand
Right.
Because I think the program itself and everything that you're doing is phenomenal.
Mhm.
I think that there's an opportunity as well to partner with some of those smaller builders that you're getting numbers from. And if you can do a package deal where you do 2 or 3 or 4 of these at a time, that is definitely within their interest to do so. And you're providing an economic development opportunity not only for Charlotte, but for businesses in Charlotte. And it helps you get your program off the ground. But I would say, check those numbers and when you're doing just what you're offering yield terms based on that number, because you may find out that you may miss the mark and that you probably won't get the impact that you're looking for because the dollars aren't working out for the home.
Right.
Just
No, that makes sense. Thank you.
Jeez, everybody, all right, I've got McDonald, then I got Stewart, and I got Gaston. All right.
I think you've answered the question I had, which was about location, if there were any patterns or, distribution of where the applications came from in the city of Charlotte, not Gastonia.
Yeah, they've been everywhere. And then we did have a question on there that also asked if whether or not the homeowner was at or below 80% AMI. And we've had a good bit of low to moderate income households apply as well, who already, I know someone asked, mentioned whether or not, if the idea was to target homeowners who had more equity, for instance, and that's not the idea. It's open to everyone. And hopefully maybe we can tweak this in the future to add additional incentives for those who are at or below AMI homeowners. And that's why we wanted to get that data, right? So we knew who was applying and who was interested.
Commissioner Stewart?
Yeah, hi. I'm curious about the impact on property value and tax assessment. Have you seen, I know we haven't done any, we're not doing countywide tax reassessments, but as properties are getting improved, are we seeing big impacts or have we thought through that, I guess? To Will's point on affordability, it's not only the $1,100 in rental, it's also the increased tax bill that homeowners are going to get from the improvements they've made to their property.
I mean, it's definitely been a thought, but property taxes have been increasing without those ADUs. I don't know if you've seen those tax bills lately, but they have definitely increased. But as far as any data that I don't have any data yet. I'm not sure. It doesn't look like my team does either at this moment. It was definitely a thought, a question. And I think in general, we were just kind of thinking, unfortunately, we can't build and add things to a property, right, without the value going up more than likely. And we'll definitely, we definitely plan on looking at getting that information as we accept them and what happens in the future with them. But at the moment, we don't have any data. And I'm not sure if anybody within the city or county has that specific data.
It might be worth a
ADUs.
conversation with the county assessment, just to see how they would think about that. It's not a shed, it's, an actual income generating property, which, it's almost a commercial property and commercial properties are valued differently on a cash flow basis versus, an appraisal value of a single family home. So, thank you.
Commissioner Gaston.
Thank you so much for your presentation. I appreciate it. So when this first came out, I did look into it. What I found, and I contacted 3 of the primary ADU builders in Charlotte, and they range from about 90 up to about 240 is where, depending on the size and things like that. I guess my question had to be, you said they could use a voucher, a housing choice voucher, for the program. And I know the payment amount for a housing choice voucher is more than $1,100 for like a 1-bedroom. So, but you're limiting to $1,100, but yet a housing choice voucher would pay more than that?
So like I mentioned, the $1,100 is just a base right now, for instance, right? But we did say that depending on who you're renting to, depending on what the size is, we have a disclaimer in there that says that it can be more than $1,100. It would just need to be discussed with the city. We'd have it in writing, and then obviously that gets put on your deed restrictions and your promissory note, for instance. To be honest, that $1,100 did not come from me. That came from our assistant director. I'm not sure necessarily how that number was determined. But we do have that disclaimer that says that not to freak you out. that is our baseline, but we're more than willing to increase that, for instance, as long as it still remains affordable to whoever is renting it.
Right, I believe that's the limit for a studio. I
It
know
is a studio.
One bedroom, housing choice voucher is $12.80.
Gotcha.
Is what it'll pay. So, and then of course, a 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom goes up from there. So a 3-bedroom is like $23.50 or something crazy, for a 3-bedroom, but most people aren't building 3-bedroom ADU, so that's not an issue. But that was my question in regards to that. The process to go through, I didn't actually put in an application, but I did go through and answer the questions because I was considering doing one. And just the feasibility report and all that came back was great, wonderful. It was clear, concise. Kudos to that. You did a good job with that. So
you.
just ironing out the kinks would be great, and hopefully they'll be able to continue it going forward.
Yeah,
So that'd be
hopefully.
great. Thank you.
Does everybody ask questions that needs to ask questions?
I do have one quick one, sorry.
Commissioner Blumenthal.
What was the total funding pool?
I'm sorry, I didn't even
What
hear
was the total funding pool
you. 8,
or is?
whatever 80,000 times 20 is. I can't do
So
the
it
math
was
right now.
1.6 million?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
what we're starting with. Mhm.
Okay, and then my other one was, you're gonna be dealing with a lot of unsophisticated quote unquote developers here. Are you offering permitting assistance through the city to try and help people get through that process?
That is where Andrew and Faith come in. Sure.
So, no formal permitting assistance. However, we're working through some internal documentation or advanced notes we can give them in terms of like checklists and stuff like that that they can bring in and share with their developer, because you're totally right. We get lots of permits today that have incomplete information, even working with single family home builders. So we're working through some checklists and some different things that are going to get the information to them ahead of time in terms of what needs to be included on your permit. But there's not sort of any sort of like formal expedited or simplified permitting.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
If everybody's really finished now, then I the only question I have is, when does the program open again for the next go round? Is it next October?
We are not sure. We
Okay, that
again,
narrows that down.
we were not anticipating 300 applications. So that might speed up when we could possibly do it, as long as funding permits us to be able to do so.
Okay, okay, that's great. Thanks. All right, we're done with that one. Cool beans. Thank you. All right, folks, this is the part where when you're on stage and you do outdoor performances, they have this thing called rain pace. So it means just get it done. And so Monica, can you rain pace us through the rest of your part?
Sure, I can make this quick and maybe you guys have questions.
Yeah.
So major things, obviously, you acknowledged and said it about community area plans. We're still, kind of grinding it out. It's been a very busy day thus far, working on what our path is and what's going to happen. So to be determined, it's in process, but we appreciate all of your support. For those of you that didn't see council on Monday night, the resolution was that Councilmember Watlington is going to come back with, she's been tasked by the mayor to come back with either a phased approach or how we get something across the finish line on the 24th. And then what does that look like potentially going forward? So that's the framework in which we are working on right now. So that is that. I just wanted to thank everybody who participated in NCAPA, the North Carolina Planning Conference, with the South Carolina Planning Conference. It was really successful. They had 1,100 people at it. And I think we had anywhere from maybe 40 staff or more involved in both walking tours and planning. And I know some of you guys were on panels, so thank you for that. The Urbies were also a huge success that were a couple weeks ago. So thank you for, I believe a couple people were there, I think. It was great. Full house. And I'll wrap it up with that. If you guys have any questions about other going-ons in the planning department, happy to do that. Saving you some minutes.
All right, now let's see if we got time. Yes, we do. We're gonna do what you did last month. Give us one thing, all right? So roll around, everybody give us at least one thing they did last month. We'll start with you, Mr. Delafield.
Okay, I'd like to congratulate Monica and her leadership for putting together a team of Dan Peters, David Edwards from City Planning, Jay Wilson from Charlotte Stormwater, Tim Porter from Urban Forestry, and a rep from NCDOT. They came out to the ETJ to meet residents out there who had concerns about a project out there. I think all of their questions were answered except for the one with connectivity with the roadway. Because now you might have a project that has one entrance in and out because they want to keep their roadways private. How that works, I don't know. But once they find out the price to keep them private, they'll probably change their minds. It's been my goal to make those things publicly maintained anyway. And then one step further, Monica came up with a brilliant plan to answer the challenge of orphan roads in the ETJ with the Grand Palisades Parkway, which a developer just spent $2 million on. And John Lamar from CNDT says it's a great road. This is going to be a great partnership between the city, NCDOT, community, and a developer. We've hired a consultant to do all of the SR1s. That's the forms you have to submit. So we'll see if that plan works out.
Thank you, Michael. Aaron?
I just was fortunate to get to spend 3 days in San Francisco at ULI National talking with my small scale council about development and lending and all the great things in the real estate industry, as well as visiting a revived version of San Francisco, which was great to see and hear all about, the new AI companies that are taking up the majority of the office demand there, which is really cool. And ride in my first driverless car, which was also very cool. So, was a great experience and a great time talking and learning more about development.
All right, Commissioner McDonald?
Almost exactly what Aaron did, but in Derrida.
Driverless cars?
No. We're just excited. Most of the last month has been in Derrida. With all the new construction going on and sadly the demolition yesterday of Puckett's, is, a big milestone. But all good, optimistic about the future and almost the same.
Yeah. Commissioner Neely?
Last month was the housing summit, so that's my one thing.
Housing Summit. All right, Commissioner Millen?
Attended with Monica and everybody last Thursday, I think it was last Thursday night, community area plan.
Yeah. Commissioner Russell?
Housing Summit.
Commissioner Millen, or excuse me.
Oh, my most exciting meeting was the Teresa Derrida meeting. It was very interesting with the comments from the county commissioner. So it was exciting. She stumped.
Okay. Commissioner Blumenthal?
I was at the Urban Design Awards, which were great. And reminder to Planning Committee, next week, we have a short meeting because we are all required to be at the County Commission meeting at 6. So make sure you factor that into your schedules, please. Thank you.
All right, Commissioner Stewart?
Next Tuesday. It's
our meeting. State of housing in Charlotte, super interesting update to the 150 people moving to Charlotte every day, 24 to 25. It's now 216 or 214. I can't remember what, 214, which was pretty interesting. Also I know it's only one thing, but this is a continuation. The Urban Planning Conference, I did a very cool bike tour of the Greenways, 4 hours long. Discovered some places I did not know existed.
All right, cool beans. Commissioner Lansdale?
Made 3 presentations to MPOs around the state regarding state transportation dollar funding.
All right, Commissioner Seeley?
I don't need to talk about the planning conference that Welton and I spoke at, but I had the
one of us cussed.
Yeah, I mean,
The French, it was a
I think it was
French
both of
word.
you.
Oh, yeah,
Both of
that's
us.
right. I explained that it wasn't really French.
Yeah, you did. But I also had the wonderful Monica Carney Holmes on a podcast. It was our final Shaping Charlotte podcast. I'm going to promote it tomorrow. Have not had time to promote it. It came out last Friday. It was supposed to come out tomorrow. But and then through the process of promoting the podcast and talking about the referendum, Tesho Akindele and my co-host and I had more than 1 million social media impressions. So we might have actually made a difference educating people.
All right, thanks. And you guys more or less knocked out all the ones that I was at, but I got the exciting thing of at 11 o'clock in the morning talking to a class full of high school students who knew nothing about where they actually lived, apparently. And it was it's like swimming through mud, just saying, but it was a beautiful experience, and I'm sure that I've made an impact on their lives, and they will grow up to be fine citizens as we go forward, or not. All right, last thing we're going to do is our homework going forward. Douglas is supposed to be on a Zoom call in 1 minute, so we're gonna knock this out. All right. Here's your homework. This, people always talk about generational wealth and housing, and I think that's a little bit of BS. There is going to be a transfer of wealth from the boomers to the next generation, and it will have an effect on how our cities grow. I think in this article, they say that the boomers have about $130 billion worth of wealth, but there's only like about $40 billion worth of real estate trillion dollars worth of real estate in the entire US. So the rest of that is made up by things that are going to be generational wealth that aren't houses. So it's an interesting article to think about what happens, when somebody drops $500,000 in your pocket and it's not a house. What are you supposed to do with it? Spend it. You buy a house, right? Next slide.
God, there's more.
Yeah, there's 3 slides, so deal with it. All right, this is an interesting one. Baltimore seeks to stem population loss by eliminating parking minimums. Where's Winokur? He should go ballistic over this. Legalizing single stair buildings. All right. Now, read the article and see if you can figure out how it's really gonna change Baltimore. Baltimore, a few years ago, had the most unoccupied buildings in America. They had 17,000 empty buildings. Okay. All right. So you go and and they have programs for you to go in and buy one really cheap. So if your ADU costs too much, move to Baltimore. But this is an interesting approach to use planning to stem population loss. And remember, Baltimore used to be the 5th largest city in the country. And God, I can't remember where the hell it is now, but it's not the 5th largest city in the country, right? Well, he's trying to leave Baltimore. Yeah, he's leaving Baltimore. Yeah. Next slide, please, ma'am. And this one I found really interesting because I was actually very conscious of this over the last couple of months, the trade-off between walkable spaces and sunlight. All right. And if you've been in a city where there are tall buildings, sometimes you go down that alleyway. All right. I'm just going to say Tryon Street, right? You can go down Tryon Street and you can never see the sun, right? But there are other places in town and around the world where you can go amongst a bunch of tall buildings and the road is wider. Is it more walkable because the road is wider, but you got sunshine? Does the sunshine balance out being able to walk? It's an interesting article just to take a look at. And then there's those other places where you don't have a tall building. And it's also because the road is so narrow, there's no sunlight in there either. Is it more walkable in those spaces? And those of you that have probably been to Europe or been in an alley in New York somewhere, right, know what that space is like, where it's a 3-story building, but there's still no sunlight. So how does that work? All right, people. Here's our schedule for our next set of meetings. And we're back on our Mondays again with our next meeting in December. We're going to have Keith Stanley coming in from University City Partners and somebody else, TBD. I'll get that figured out before next Monday. It's lovely to have you all here today. I'm glad to have everybody on in the meeting, and hopefully we'll